Hello, everybody. How we doing today? I am so excited to hang out with everybody. Let's hit record and get this show on the road.
This meeting is being
So we are
recorded.
here for day 3 of the Virtual Leaders Summit. Putting my glasses on because I've been getting a lot of screen time with all these sessions, and my eyeballs need a bit of a rest. But I'm so excited to be here with you today. We have some really, really powerful speakers from different industries, which I'm really, really, really excited about. We have Gina, who runs a 6-figure photography company, as well as launching courses for other photographers. We have Tabitha, who is a hairstylist, who also runs courses for other hairstylists. And then we have Alexis McCloskey, who's going to be joining us, who is kind of like a life and performance coach who helps entrepreneurs with ADHD. It's going to be so fun, going to be so exciting. I feel like sometimes some of you are going to be like, wait a second, that's not my industry. How am I going to learn something if they're not from my industry? And the point that I'm going to make, this is always my favorite thing, okay? When someone would come to me and be like, you haven't done my specific business, how are you going to help me? And I would be like, that's funny. Have you ever read a John Maxwell book? Yeah. Has he done your specific business? No. Cool. Have you read a Brendon Burchard book? Yeah. Has he done your specific business? No. Have you read a Russell Brunson? So like we could just go like, guys, to think that someone has to be from your industry and done exactly what you have done to learn something from, to me is crazy. And here's why it's crazy. Because sometimes when you put too many people together in the same industry, what actually ends up happening is everybody ends up kind of copying each other, and you actually end up creating competition for yourself. Have you ever felt like there wasn't room for you or wasn't space for you? Sometimes that's maybe because you're copying too many people who are trying to do the same thing as you. And so for me, I actually enjoy learning from people outside of my space more. I actually participate in a mastermind group. You have to do $500,000 or more a year in course sales to just get in the group, but it's not a bunch of life coaches. I'm one of like 2 or 3 life coaches. We have someone who does photography. We have someone who does a course on how to declutter your house. We have someone, we have someone who does like courses on how to do your finances. And the fact that we come from different places gives us different perspectives to learn from, and also teaches us how many powerful ways there are to do this. Okay. So I'm so excited to dive in with you. I just want to remind you one more time before we jump in real quick. Okay. I talked about this on all of our sessions, but we're doing this really, really cool leaders bundle for everybody that's participating. And this is an accumulation of Josh's best hits from over the years. So we've got questions that convert. This is how to use questions in the DMs to convert sales without being salesy and trying to convince people that you're like the best in the world. The perfect leadership system. This is something I wrote an entire book on. The psychology of self-coaching, the breakdown goal session, my bestseller book bundle, and a one-on-one call with a master coach. The only thing you have to do is click on this. Watch how easy this is. Copy the coupon code, Command C, and then there's this really cool thing where you hit Command V and it copies and pastes, and then hit apply. It's $9.99. Okay. The only thing is you have to actually book your call with a master coach on the thank you page before you get access to the resources. Okay. So it's just $10 and you get all of this plus a free one-on-one, which by the way, the free one-on-one alone is like a $400 value. Okay. All you have to do is book the call. Okay. And then, like it'd be super cool if you were like a really good human being and followed through on like, I'm like, this is like a little bit of an honor system. Okay. You book the call. I am expecting that you would like show up for that call. You might be like, why are you making us do a one-on-one call? I'm making you because I'm a fucking push coach. And that's what I do is I make people do what I know is the best for them. And 100 hours of content may or may not help you, probably won't if you're still stuck in this. If you're still stuck with a story of like, I'm not good enough for success, I don't have what it takes, I'm not this enough, that enough, don't have that, blah, blah, whatever that is, we got to get that out before we can move into content. Sound good? Okay, so I am watching for our other speaker. I'm wondering if there was a time zone mix-up or something like that. Maybe she'll join while we're talking, but that's okay. I've got Gina and I've got Tabitha here, and I'm so freaking excited. So I would love for each of you, going to start with you, Gina, since you're on my left on Zoom, to just give like a 2-minute intro / bio to just what you do. Just keep it that simple, and then we'll dive into some bigger questions. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. I can do that.
Thanks for being here, friend.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here and share with you guys. Yep, I'm Gina Golden. I became a photographer way back in 2005. So I've been doing that for 18 years. I built a pretty successful business doing that. And then in 2018, I had this little nudge to help other photographers. So I took a little blog and turned it into a small course, and then it has expanded into a bigger coaching program, podcasts, and all the things, and got that going pretty good. I teach photographers how to get to 6 figures just working a few days a week. Had my first 6-figure launch back in 2021, and we're just rolling. We're just rolling with it. So yeah, excited.
So proud of you, friend. So proud of you. And then Tabitha, hi there. Could you give us a quick 2-minute intro / bio?
Hi, you guys. My name is Tabitha. I am a wealthy and worthy coach for hairstylists. I'm also an empowerment coach for females. I've been a hairstylist for 18 years. I take so much pride in my success because I get to help people on such a deeper level than just the technique of hair. And I'm literally living my dream life. I've been traveling the country in an RV for 2 years, traveling, doing retreats around the country and coaching from my RV. And thanks to Josh and his program that I took, the Life Coach Certification, it has changed my business and the trajectory of my future. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm so happy to have both of you here. We dove into like a lot of kind of like mindset stuff yesterday with like, you know, when you're having a hard time. But what I want to dig in with the two of you is because I know you come from outside of the industry. Your business has been built probably a little bit more similar to mine. And I would love to hear, we'll start with you again, Gina. We'll just keep a rotation going. No pressure. What would you say? And I want to give, here's what I would love to give. I would love to give beginner tip and advanced tip, because I know that we always have both on the call. What I don't want to do is like throw something so far over someone's head that if they like just got on Instagram yesterday that we're teaching them like how to build a whole funnel. At the same time, we have some advanced people on as well, and I don't want to like leave them hanging. So like maybe give like the first couple of years of your business via social media, let's say like, especially with like getting the course stuff going, what was the kind of like things you were doing to grow your following and build an audience during that time?
Okay. I really started working on that Instagram right around the pandemic, like in 2020. So everybody was on their phones. So I felt like I had a little bit of a leg up there, but I just started listening to what they needed and showing up as a friend and being consistent and staying true to who I was. I tried not to be, somebody fancy, because I'm not a fancy girl. I'm just a simple girl, right? So I showed up and met them where they were and talked to them about what they were struggling with and figured out what they needed. And I just started adding value consistently every day.
I love that. Tell me more about this listening thing, because I think this is literally something I taught on Wednesday night, is like listening for feedback to create data. So tell me more about what that looked like, and maybe give me some specific examples of how you took listening and turned it into like content or things like that.
Sure. I started physically just asking questions. Stories were fairly new then, and I recognized that they did not know how to use them. It was foreign, right? Yeah. So I just got in there and started teaching a little bit about that. They would ask, of course, the tech questions, and I would give them tips and tricks, but more so building their confidence around getting out there and showing up, and it's okay to fail and look silly and all the things. Is that what you're asking? Ask me your question one more time.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. How are you kind of taking the questions that they were asking and then fueling that into content that kept them engaged and made them see you as the expert?
I started doing little workshops for them and teaching. Like they would ask the questions and I would have a bullet point little bam, bam, bam. This is what we're going to go over today. And then I would have the Q&A time. It was really simple, easy stuff. I just showed up and shared what I knew. And I was testing along the way too. I got in and made the messy action. And, you know, I felt like I couldn't teach something that I wasn't willing to go through it myself and do. And so I would do my little workshops or just open up a Zoom room like this and share and be vulnerable with them and teach them the things that I was learning along the way.
I love that. So basically, you're kind of doing what we're doing right now.
There you go.
But you were just using the questions they asked. And to me, that's the really important part, is you can't just put on a workshop and teach what you want to teach or call it what you want to call it. It's got to always be like this loop that's happening of like, what are people looking for? What do they want? And literally Ford, you know, I have a Ford Bronco, so I like have to bring it up like all the time because I'm obsessed with my Ford Bronco. But the history of it is in the 60s, Ford literally went to their ideal client and they said, what is it you want in a vehicle? And for the Bronco, they essentially went to people like in their 40s. And these were a lot of war vets who loved the idea of driving a rugged car like a Jeep, but they hated that the Jeep didn't come with any like fancy features because these were like older people driving around kids and going to the grocery store. And so they literally just sat them down and said, what is everything you don't like about your Jeep? And if you could have the perfect vehicle, what would that look like? And they collected data and they built that vehicle. They did the same thing for the Mustang, but for the Mustang, instead of asking 40-year-olds, they asked 20-year-olds. And over and over and over, they heard the word, I want it to look sexy. Like I want it to, like that was like, I want a car that looks sexy. Like I don't want it to look like I'm driving my parents' car. I want it to look like this sexy thing driving down the street. So that's what they did. They went and built the Mustang specifically for that. But the reality is, like, I think too many times we think our job is to convince people that the package we have is the perfect package. And really, it's like we need to listen to them and get their feedback so that we can take the package we have and customize it to the things that they're saying. Even if you have a preset package, I know a lot of you do. The reality is you can't change your supplement. You can't change it. But you can be good enough of a listener to find out which problems the supplement solves that they actually care about, instead of just trying to regurgitate facts about those supplements. Does that make sense? I love that. Thank you, Gina. Tabitha, would love to hear your first couple of years, what it was that you were doing that kind of like helped you to like get the ball rolling.
Are you talking about as far as Instagram?
Doesn't have to be Instagram. I'm more than happy to talk outside of Instagram, and it would actually make me really excited to have a non-Instagram conversation.
Yes, because I think we focus so much on followers and that number at the top of our Instagram handle. And when you're chasing that number and it's just a number, it becomes eventually you just keep chasing this empty feeling because it's just never enough. So I think it's really important as entrepreneurs, and especially females, because we're so emotionally connected to everything around us and we feel things through our emotions. It's so important, you guys, to connect back to yourself. This comes down to what feels good to you and what feels good to your nervous system, and not only chasing like what our mind is telling us, because sometimes our minds are most of the time our thoughts are pre-programmed for us. Only 5% of our mind is our conscious thoughts, and those are our thoughts. Those are the ones that we own. But I think it's really comes back down to slowing down to speed up. Connect with yourself. What feels good to you? Even though you found somebody that you idolize, and I idolize Josh and what he's doing, there's things that don't align for me that aligns for Josh. And just because you're hiring a coach or hiring a business mentor doesn't mean that they're necessarily the right fit for you, or their advice is going to be in alignment with what you really. So find a coach that's going to connect you back to yourself, because the answers are always inside of ourselves. And connect with yourself and slow down and find out really what is your soul's purpose. Because if you can align with that, you are going to have so much success because it's not forced. It's natural. And that's what happened with me in my business. I'm so passionate about building women's confidence and helping people step into their authority and owning their power and finding their own lighthouse instead of looking for things outside of themselves. And it has skyrocketed me to where I am now. And now I get to help other women find their own lighthouse. And I think just connecting back to yourself, slowing down, really finding out what your heart and soul wants and making that your purpose in life. That's been my business model from the start. And it's got me this far. So that's my advice.
I love that. I love that. So getting real and authentic about your purpose.
Yes. Yes. And most people, if you ask them what they want, they can't answer. They don't even, they haven't sat with themselves to find out what do you want, and finding a good coach to pull that out of you. That is key.
I love that. I love that, friend. So let's go with some pro tips.
Sure.
Because Gina, I know you just had you had a 6-figure launch. And so that looks a little bit different now that things have like grown and now we're having to do more things. We don't have to do more things, but usually we learn new things and more things become the next thing that we take on. So like, tell me, what are some things over the last year that you're doing that are different from when you kind of like first got started?
So,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tabitha. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Okay.
When I first got started, it was just a jumbled mess. You're just grasping at straws and trying to figure out the things that stick, right? Until you can build a system. So I think getting clear, like Tabitha said, on your messaging and your purpose and who you are connected to, and then taking that content and learning how to build a system for it, that has really helped me start to expand my audience in different ways too. When you have a clearer message, it does hit differently. So I got really consistent with my blog. Or you're talking about actionable things, right?
Like, give me some actionable things that you do kind of like on a regular basis to grow lists, to do launches. Like, what does that look like for you now?
Okay, yeah. So the podcast, I'm consistently on that week after week. And so we do that. We do, a blog that goes along with it, Pinterest and SEO strategies. I have a wonderful team member who helps me just get that out into the world, but that is not what it looked like in the very beginning. It was very grassroots, DMs, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So here's what I love though. Tell me, because I literally had someone ask they didn't ask me personally, but in the Kajabi page, they were like, do Facebook and Instagram ads really work? And my feedback to them was absolutely, if you start at the ground level and know who you're talking to and what you're talking about. Like all of these ads, SEO strategies to me are just building on a great foundation. And if the great foundation doesn't exist, you're kind of just like throwing money at a slot machine and hoping something lands, right? So tell me, like, was that true for you too? Like, it was like, once we got the organic feedback and we're listening to people, then it was like, oh, cool. Now we can reach more people by saying the same thing, but to a bigger audience.
Right. And that's what we found too. Do they always work? No. But the thing is, you're either going to spend time or you're going to spend money. Yeah. And when you run out of time, you're going to have to spend some money to build your audience. And it's not like you have to spend a lot of money to, we don't need hundreds of thousands of customers or clients. So yeah, the Facebook ads have worked fairly well for us too.
We definitely don't need hundreds of thousands of clients. No one on this call is like, you know what, in order to make my lifestyle work, I need hundreds of thousands. Not unless you're only charging like 50 cents a person, right? But if you're charging more than 50 cents a person, what we really need is a group of people that we are highly connected to and that we are seen as the expert. And my thing is like, I'm always going for like, what is the smallest circle of people I can be the influencer in? And then how do we grow from there. But I think too many times it's like, how do I hit all of these people with all of their needs and all? And it's like, well, that's too many people to even try to figure out what they need. That's like asking a 20-year-old and a 50-year-old what they want in a car.
Mm.
And then trying to build that car. Like, good luck with that. That's not going to be a car anybody wants. Tabitha, I want to talk to you about your retreats, because I know that's something you're like super passionate about, and like that's kind of like your thing. Tell me, like, how'd you get into that?
So it goes back to this pull that I had. I started out as a hairdresser, and in hair school, I was always helping other people. I just had this natural teaching ability, I guess. And I had some local salons start to ask me if I'd come teach. And this is such a cool story because I showed up to teach techniques. And what was so incredibly amazing was there was so much more that came out of that class than sharing a technique with them. We became friends, and we started talking about stuff on a deeper level in these classes, in these technique classes, which led to my retreats. An idea was born after one of my 2-day hair camps. And I was like, these girls need help on a deeper level. We need a space to connect us, to talk about things that don't have anything to really do with a technique, but there's so many other things that were coming up in these classes that I just didn't have time to talk about. So, man, I held my first retreat and I was so scared nobody was going to sign up. That retreat sold out before I even hit social media with it. Everybody that came to that 2-day hair camp was like, yep, sign me up.
Yeah.
And these retreats have just evolved into word of mouth, and I'm getting referrals from other people coming in that have attended retreats. They're left with such a beautiful feeling and this amazing connection with not just me as a coach at these retreats, but with the other women.
Yeah.
That it's become the snowball effect. And so I'm opening my retreats up to not just hairstylists, but women,
Cool.
because I just feel like we need this space for vulnerability and connecting on a deeper level and really talking about the things that we're not able to talk about on social media, and maybe even sometimes with our friends. So my retreats are my favorite thing on the planet. And
I love that.
Yeah.
And here's what's really cool is, so everyone that we have on today, even though they're technically an expert from like a totally different industry, they have gone through our life coach certification. That's how I've kind of gotten connected with them. What I love is that me and Tabitha have talked about this before. You have a hairstylist and she wants to know techniques. She wants to know skills. But then Tabitha brings them in and also teaches them mindset.
Yes. I was telling Josh, my retreat last year after my life coach certification, I got on a call with him and I said, Josh, you have no idea. I had no idea what I was going to open up. I mean, people, the emotions were flowing. This was right. I wasn't even certified yet. And I took the tools that he gave me and I put together this beautiful workshop, and we wrote down all our limiting beliefs, and then we rewrote that story. And I couldn't believe it. It was just at that moment, I knew that, you know, I was in the right path and I was doing the right thing and helping on a deeper level. So.
Yeah. And I love that. Like, so this kind of like ties into the belief bridge that I teach on messaging. Is it's like you connect with people where they're at with the things they care about, but along the bridge, you teach them these new things that you know are what they really need to actually change their life. So you might, go take a poll and everyone says, I don't know, I want to lose weight. And you're like, I hate talking about weight loss. Oh my, I'm so over it. Well, that's okay. You don't have to talk about weight loss forever. You just have to bring that up as the thing that gets them in the door so that you can teach them the things that you want to teach them. And that's what a lot of people, people come into the life coach certification, not necessarily because they want to do what I do for a living. It's usually that they're really passionate about something else, whether it's hair or photography or health and fitness, and they want to add a deeper level to what they teach inside their programs and what they offer their clients. And that's what I love about life coaching. I call it the universal leadership tool, because you can take it and connect it to anything else. We have people that take life coaching, connect it to relationship coaching. We have people that connect it to literally anything else in the world, because you're helping people get down to like the deepest issues that are actually holding them back from doing the things they want to do. Cool. Well, I appreciate that so much. I am now going to introduce one of my oldest friends in the world. She was one of my first clients in like 2015. Did you realize it had been that long? 2015. Is that crazy? I was just watching a YouTube video from 2015 just for fun. Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm a member of the John Maxwell team. And if you're feeling like you need clarity and focus in your business, this is, I don't know if you remember that video, Alexis, but it was really funny shit. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, why were people working with me? What was happening? What was going on? But I want to introduce you to my good friend Alexis McCloskey. Alexis, I'm going to give you just like 2 minutes to kind of share like a quick bio on yourself and what you do, and then we'll jump into some questions about growing your following.
Yeah, heck yeah. And I'm late, y'all, but this is just real life. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is like I'm just real, raw, authentically me. And I think that's so important in business. And I got the time wrong. But like we're here, we're successful, we're still making it happen. So no, if you make mistakes and you do things, you can still be super successful. You don't have to have it all together, I promise. But yes, Josh. Oh my gosh, 2015. That's insane. I didn't
A long time
realize
ago.
it. Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, I'm Alexis. I'm a self-proclaimed tough love coach for sure. I have been helping people in so many different ways. I started as a vegan recipe page, and then I moved to a paleo recipe page, and then I got into like fitness and nutrition, and then I got into life coaching, and then got into business coaching because I found that I really loved working with entrepreneurs. And so I typically work with ADHD entrepreneurs, helping them figure out how to make business fun and work for them. There's a lot of stuff that is for neurotypical people out there, and not every way to do business. Like, as I'm sure you've probably heard, for those of you that are in Josh's world, there's not like one way to be successful. And I really like helping entrepreneurs figure out how to build a business and build a life too, because I mix when you work with me, I kind of a mix of both life coaching and business coaching, but set up your life, your habits, your business, social media, all the things in a way that works for you. And I think that that's invaluable to do. I work with a lot of perfectionists, a lot of workaholics, a lot of tell me what to do and I'll do it people, but they get in their own way and they're just making business hard and stressful. It's not easy, but it's very simple. And I like helping people figure out how to actually do that. So.
I love that. I love that. So we were just chatting about things you did kind of like early on to grow following. And let me clarify the word following. I don't necessarily mean like going viral per se. I just mean like, what was your greatest avenue of creating relationships with other people via social media?
Yeah, I love that you said that specifically, like relationships, because I think that's what's helped me grow a following is social media is meant to be social. We sometimes forget that. And I know that like if you're introverted or you like the idea of having a conversation with someone makes you want to like jump out a window, it's okay. But being social on social media, I think is what has helped me grow and actually engaging with people, even from when I first started my social media before I ever even really had a business, because I was doing it like back in 2012 when everybody just posted really ugly pictures of their food on social media. And so I was always just like organic reach, actually having conversations with people, and I still do that to this day. And I think that like that, and it's not just like going through hashtags and like commenting things, but like actually wanting to get to know people. One of my mentors says like people have a big sign on their forehead that says make me feel important. And I think when you can have conversations with people and actually want to get to know them, whether that be in the DMs, in comments, but I also think like engaging in other people's communities, whether that's like people, like I have certain accounts that I like to go to, like when they post, and they always have like, you can tell when someone has a really great community on social media when you look at their comment section. Not that necessarily it has a lot of comments, but there's conversations going on. People are responding to each other. And I think when you can curate that on your page, that's when like you can go really far. And so I try to do that in my space, but I'm always, and like a even more specific tip, I think, is before you post. I always teach my clients this, like 5 to 15 minutes before you post and 5 to 15 minutes after you post, you should be being social on social media and engaging and connecting with other people, because people are going to be coming to your page when you're posting. And I think just like, again, creating that conversation and actually wanting to do it for the sake of connecting with people, not just because I'm going to do this and this is going to help me grow my following. If that's like your mindset, it's that energy is like never going to resonate.
I love that. I always love the energy talk and the intention, because
Yes.
energy and intention like go together, right?
Yeah.
If the only intention, and I'll be perfectly honest with you guys, the reason I'm asking them social media stuff is because like 2014, 15, 16, I was all in on like organic. And the second I was able to move to more like emails and ads, that's my great passion. I will write emails all day and night.
I hate emails.
Exactly. And this is why it's important to like hear different perspectives, because I don't really love social media. When I go to Instagram, I'm looking at pictures of Broncos, and it's costing me so much money. I need to stop looking at pictures. I'm like, this mod. I don't know what's happening. It's just like, it's like an addiction for me. Or I'm watching like really, really, really funny reels that kind of are like having a good laugh at the way I grew up sometimes in like this super crazy like world that I did. And that's it. Like, I don't actually go onto social media to like hang out with people, because like my brain doesn't work like that. And so I think it's important, again, to hear different perspectives, because some of you are going to be like, oh, I love the way Alexis is doing it. Oh, I love the way Gina's doing it. I love the way Tavis is doing it. I love the way Danny's doing it. I love the way Stephanie's doing it. And I do think it's just so important to hear all the different perspectives, because our brain, and Alexis already kind of like mentioned this, our brain is looking for the way to do it, because that's the way our brain is wired. But going back to what I taught you guys Wednesday night, head voice versus heart voice. Okay. The head voice is not the right path. It's usually looking for something to keep you safe. And the most safe thing in the world is a concrete absolute. And if you have ever done art, I played music for many years, there are no absolutes. And I think for me, that's what makes being an entrepreneur fun. As an artist, I'm like, there's no absolutes. We just have to wake up and just jump in and explore and figure that out. And so what I don't want to make it sound is like you can't get tips from people, but I want you to be careful not to think that the way one person is doing it is like the way. It's a way you can explore with and find out like what is your way.
Yeah,
So
I think that's really, one thing I want to add to that too, that I think is really important is finding like, and this is what I do with my clients, is helping them figure out what their relationship with social media is. Cause I work with entrepreneurs that literally hate social media. So they see other people saying post 7 times a week and do this and that. And if you try to do that just because someone said it's going to make you successful, you're going to get a burnout. The energy that you come to social media is not going to be the same. But if you find out, okay, I can still post 3 or 4 times a week or whatever it is, you're going to feel what that feels like. It's going to feel good. You're going to build self-motivation, and then you're going to want to actually show up on social media in the way that works for you. And it's going to relate in terms of your audience versus just trying to fit into a box because someone told you that this is the $1 million strategy,
I love that. And if you watch enough ads in your there's a lot of $1 million strategies, guys. Like there's a lot of this only one way works. There's so many. It's like, it's crazy. It's like, wow. So this one, but this one, but this one. There's a lot of one ways to do it. I want to jump in, put a MySpace joke for you in the comments, by the way, ADOS. At some point you said, I like to do that on MySpace. I know you were talking about your page as your space.
Did I say, oh.
No, it totally made sense the way you said it, but my brain was just like, MySpace? We're talking about social media? How cool would it be to be like, I was the one who built a successful following on MySpace? I just miss MySpace, guys. I miss being able to show my emo ass with like my cool music video in the background so the people knew I was like a part of the scene. I miss that life. Only a few of you really know that life. Let's circle back around with this next question. And that is, how has the addition of life coaching helped your business? So Gina, I know you help photographers. So like, why in the world do you need life coaching? and yet you did life coaching and you're even in a master coach program. So talk to me about maybe what you were noticing, because I know we've had this conversation before, maybe what you were noticing before the certification that kind of made you decide that, like, oh my gosh, like I need more tools to help people, and then what that's looked like on the other side.
Gosh, I may have done it more selfishly. If I'm being honest, like
It's
I
okay.
knew that I needed it for myself, right? I had to get out of my own way before I could help my clients get out of theirs. So personally, I can move past roadblocks. I mean, I can just barrel through them now where they would have paralyzed me before. And so I can get over those hurdles and get back to what I need to be doing in my business. And so, of course, that has helped me get results faster, and also for my clients too. They, photographers, and probably any entrepreneur, honestly, struggles with comparison, right? And thinking I'm not good enough, I'm not worth it, all the things. So we all struggle with the same things, whether it's in, whatever field it's in, right? So, but so that has really helped my students, just watching them change and being able to just see these light bulb moments go off, and learning how to coach themselves, which makes my job just a little bit easier, right? When they can coach themselves. But knowing exactly what's causing their results, not that the market is oversaturated, and not that the algorithm changed again, all the things, that it actually does come from their thoughts. It's making huge waves in there. They're getting huge results, and it's so cool to see what's happening in their lives. They're retiring their husbands and going on vacations they never thought that they could, and taking the weekends off, which photographers are just horrible about working every night and every weekend. And so it's beautiful to see the time freedom that has come from just learning how to manage their minds just a little bit more.
I love that. Can you give one singular tip, something that you use regularly on yourself and or your clients that help you when you're kind of stuck in your head?
I do not allow myself to say I don't know. I think that's just a really dangerous game to play. It's a very uncomfortable place to be. It's kind of like sitting on the fence, right? And it's really painful to sit on the fence, and you either need to get on it or off of it. And so I think just not allowing yourself to sit in that I don't know, that indecisiveness, just making a decision, listening to the nudges of your heart, and knowing that they weren't put there by accident. Just make a decision. You're either going to be right or wrong, and you're just going to figure it out along the way and just learn from it. But just get off the fence and take the messy action.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to clarify, I don't think what Gina is saying is that it's not okay not to know. She just doesn't allow herself to say, I don't know, from a place of scarcity. Right? Because so many people, it's like, what do you want to do with your life? I don't know. All right, well, that we're not allowing that anymore. Like, let's go deeper and let's make some type of it. Like in other words, so one of my favorite books ever, old school book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And one of the things he says that his poor dad never allowed them to even talk about money at the table. Rich Dad always open to conversations about money, but one of the things that he said was, we're never allowed to say I can't afford something. We have to instead just simply say, how could I afford something? And it's just so many times I think we have these like little things that we say, like, I don't know, that we don't realize are rooted in so much scarcity and rooted in so much just like lack. And it's basically us making an excuse for ourselves. Like, how many of you in the last 3 days during one of our teachings have heard someone say something really inspiring about their journey, and yet at some point you said, yeah, but Yeah. Yeah, but she's like way more outgoing than me. Yeah, but she has this. Yeah, but I could never. Yeah, but. And it's just such a like little thing that almost like creates a gap between you and the lesson you could have received in that moment. And the reality is there is actually a healthy version of yeah, but where it's like, hey, you can't do that. Yeah, but like, but I think sometimes we take it as a negative, as like we're literally excusing ourselves from the thing we could have because we didn't want to accept it. And so I love that. I don't allow myself to say I don't know. I think that's so great. I also try really hard to never ever say anything like, for instance, like I don't have time. Even if it's something stupid, like if it's literally something stupid, like someone's like, oh, you should do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't really have time for that. And I'll literally stop myself and just be like, actually, I'm just choosing not to do that. I have plenty of time. That's just not personally something I care to put my time and energy into. And it's such a quick fix that just keeps me from having excuses in my life and reminds me like I'm in control. I technically can do that. I just don't want to. Like sometimes that's harder to say out loud, right? When someone says something that you know should be important to you, but it's not. To you, it's not important. And so I just like to be honest and say, that's not really as important to me as it is to you. So I think I'm going to pass this time. That is not in my personal plan for this week. And that's okay. Tabitha, I would love to hear from you. Like I know you use a lot of it like at the retreats and stuff. Like how has life coaching helped you? And yeah, all three of you would love for you to drop your IG handles in the comments so people can go find you.
One of the things that I want to remind everybody too is that your business can't grow faster or bigger than you are as growing as a person. So as much as you want to expand your outside world, your inner world is the most important thing that you can focus on first. And I think that's where this life coach thing has really changed the way I show up in my retreats, because I'm able to hold that space for them to transform their inside world before they start that outer process of changing the, you know, what they want. We're all grabbing for these things outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that it all comes back to starting to realize and pay attention to your own feelings and thoughts. And life coach, my certification at my retreats, I just realized there was something deeper that I couldn't help women on. I would teach them how to do a technique. I teach them how to implement boundaries and policies in their business and how to scale their business, but nobody was moving. And I didn't understand why. And so when I was doing all of that learning through your program, it was mind blowing, because I was like, wow, I know why people are not moving. It comes down to our thoughts and the stories that we sell ourselves, and we believe those to be our truth. And one of the things, you asked for a helpful tip. I think that one of the things that you can really do when you're stuck in your head and you're doubting yourself, or maybe you're looking in the mirror and you're not loving what you see, and we're so hard on ourselves as females. I deal with this all the time at my retreats. One, I want you to remember that what a blessing it is to just be here right now. We're breathing. We are alive. And sometimes we take the craziest things for granted. And somebody's not going home today. Somebody's laying in a bed and wishing they had another chance at the business, wishing they could look in the mirror one more time, wishing that they could just have a second chance. And they don't have that chance. So today, I want you to remind yourself that it's a blessing to just have a chance to try a new business strategy. It's a blessing to have a chance to start a new business. It's a blessing to look in the mirror, because somebody doesn't get that chance today. So if you can just remind yourself of the little things, it really brings this, like, I have like chills in my arms. It just brings this gratitude back to ourselves. And it's like, wow, like I have so much to be thankful for. So get out of our head and into our hearts, right, Josh?
Yep.
And remember that like the true feelings come from our hearts, not from our head.
Yeah. And
so, I'm able to shift people's mindsets at my retreat, and I'm able to give them a new perspective and show them a different outlook. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing. And it's really just helped my business immensely. And I'm so excited to be able to continue and help other women. So
love that. I love that so much. And I like to remind people that the problems you're complaining about today are the same things you were praying for like a year ago.
Yep.
Like, how many of you, before you had a business, your biggest hope, thought, prayer was that you wished you had more meaning and more purpose? Right? And then we find our meaning, we find our purpose, we slap an LLC and an Instagram handle on it, and we call it a business. And then we're so frustrated that we don't have more people to talk to, or that we don't have, more people aren't interested in what we want to talk. And it's like, what happened to that thing we call the purpose? And every time I get frustrated with any type of like numbers or a weird month in my business, I always just try to bring it back to that. I love that you brought that up, Tabitha, because it's like, without that, what are we even doing, guys? What are we even doing? If there's no purpose behind it, let's just all go get jobs somewhere. I'm not anti-jobs. Some people really do find jobs they love, and man, kudos to them. I've never found one of those. Or I don't know, maybe some of us are just not meant to have a job. That's just not the way we're wired. It's never going to work for us, right? But if this is your purpose, and that's why we have these businesses, because we wanted the opportunity to align purpose with profit, right? Don't let the lack of profit kill the purpose that is there to create the eventual profit. Good stuff, friend. Good stuff, friend. Alexis, how is life coaching? And I know you were kind of already doing a form of life coaching, just from things that you had learned from all of your personal growth and things. So maybe yours sounds a little bit different, and whatever it sounds like, I'm okay with. But I would just love to hear like what that element added or helped in your business.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing that it's done for me is a lot of people feel like they have to be a loner. Again, these are like a lot of my clients, but like they have to figure it all out on their own,
Yeah.
especially people with ADHD. We have this feeling that if we don't figure it out on our own and we got help, that it wasn't good enough. And so for me, I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to get help and get new perspectives. So I think the life coaching certification helped me gain new perspective. It helped me have more confidence, more tools, and it saves a lot of time, energy, and money when you can get guidance from someone who's a few steps ahead of you. And if you're in a position where you're like, I don't need it, I don't need to spend the money, I can just kind of figure it on your own. Yeah, you could, but you're going to be figuring it out on your own.
Yeah.
You're going to probably waste a lot of time and energy and money. And I think when you can be open to say, I don't know everything, not like the I don't know that we were talking about earlier, but like I want to learn more. I want to learn from someone that knows more than me, and not have to like have this stranglehold on your business and your life that like you have to figure it out on your own. Because I've been successful, and and you find anybody that's successful, all successful entrepreneurs have mentors. It's the people who are trying to figure it out on their own or be like, I don't need any help, are the ones that aren't successful. The most successful people are the ones that are getting guidance, and success leaves clues, right? There's a trail. So why would you think that you like wouldn't follow the path of someone that's super successful, like Oprah, like John Maxwell? They all have mentors in some way. So I think the life coaching certification is like another form of mentorship in a way where you don't have to figure it out on your own, and you can just save a lot of time, energy, money, and all the things. So
yeah, I love that. What's your tip that you, from life coaching or whatever, let's just go into like head versus heart kind of stuff. Like what's your favorite tip that you use on yourself or on your clients to help them kind of realign or readjust?
For me, and there's kind of like two answers, but I'll give what I think is like the more important, is figuring out the root of why we do what we do. And I think that the head versus heart story is like a great way to do that. But like I always use this example because I work with a lot of procrastinators. And so when people procrastinate, they're usually like, okay, I just need to get a better, like a prettier planner at Target, and then I won't be a procrastinator. Or I just need to be better at time management, and that's going to fix my procrastination.
Yeah.
But like what even got me into life coaching, because I was helping people with like fitness and nutrition, and people would come to me with the same problems. It's like, here's a meal plan, here's a workout. but it was like, well, let's take a step back. Let's ask, why is it so hard for you to follow the meal plan? Why is it so hard for
Yeah.
you to follow the workout? Why are you procrastinating? And so for me, I like to get to the root of why people are feeling the way they feel, because when you can work
Yeah.
at the root, whether it's connected to trauma, big T or little t, or anything, just like I say to my clients too, like, whose voice is that? Because you didn't wake up one day and become a perfectionist. Some experience, some
Right.
person taught you that
Mm.
that was the way you needed to be safe and the way you needed
Yeah.
to have control. And so, and I think when you can take a few steps back and be willing to do that, that's when you're going to work at the root of the issue. And then it's not like you're banging your head against the wall with a better planner at Target, hoping that that's
Right.
going to fix your problems. You know what I mean? So I think it's people taking a few steps back and
Yeah.
be willing to do that versus just trying to put a band-aid on
Mm.
the
I love
problem,
that.
which takes more time, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny because on the Wednesday night call, we had like 170 people on here, and I asked, what is the biggest thing holding you back from your business? 50% of the call said something about doubt, fear, I mean, limiting beliefs, essentially, right? And the other 50% said time management.
Yeah, like logistics. I need to know how to use social media better. Like, no, you can have the
Yeah,
best social media and
right.
business plan, but if like up here is in the way, like doesn't matter
Yep.
ever.
And it just cracks me up when I hear the words time management. And I don't say this in any way to judge or mock anyone, but kind of like what Alexis said, like whose voice is that? Like what the fuck even is time management? It's literally a word entrepreneurs probably made up somewhere. It's like when you can't get enough things that you want done, we kind of tend to be like, well, it's a time management problem. Is it a time management problem? Because I'm like literally the worst human in the world with time management. Like I'm absolutely awful. Like when Alexis was like, oh shit, I got the wrong time zone, I was like, all good. I've done that so many times. Like it's fine. Like it's no big deal. Like I'm the worst with time. I'm like, I didn't become better with time to become an entrepreneur. So like there's these surface level issues that we kind of like to pin as what I call in our life coach certification, our story, more specifically, our head story. And the head story is exactly what Alexis just said. It is pre-programming that came from an outside source. Like this isn't even actually your story. It's just one you adopted along the way. Somebody else said it. Somebody else said the word time management. You're like, I kind of like that one. I'll just grab that and hold on to that. That'll be my thing too. I also suck at time management, right? And or it can happen the opposite way. You hear enough people say, I'm an extrovert, and you're like, oh, well, I'm not that. So that must be the reason I don't fit into this. Or everyone else looks like a Barbie doll. I've never had the opportunity to look like a Barbie doll, but like I get it. Like when you're in a world full of women, there is a lot of kind of like that kind of stuff that can happen. We have Tiffany, and I know she wouldn't mind me sharing this because she's literally one of our master coaches and will be sharing as well. But Tiffany is a person of color. And that's been her biggest obstacle. She's like, I'm literally in a world full of people where I'm the only person of color. And so that's what her head grabs onto. And I have to constantly kind of like be like, I get it. I don't, of course, but I understand why that can be hard. And I need you to use that as your fuel to be the example for other women who also feel that way. And so like it's just natural psychology for our brain to grab onto the thing that's going to allow us to stay where we're at. And none of those stories, I just want to make this very clear. All of those stories are completely valid. Like I don't want to like judge or shame anyone for their story because I had lots of them and still have many of them. So this isn't about like you feeling bad for having that. It's not me trying to say, oh, you just make excuses, get over it. But what it is understanding that one, it's valid, but two, it doesn't have to stay your truth. You can at any point choose to let go of that story that someone else gave you, or that you grabbed from more of like a social setting where you're just kind of collecting evidence. You can choose to let that go, and you can choose to have a more powerful story that comes from your heart. So I want to end this by having each of you, and this could be a 5-minute segment, it could be an hour segment, because we're talking to powerful, passionate people right now. I just want to ask this one last question. I'll mix up the rotation this time because Gina's had to go first every single time. And she's like, I don't want to have to go first. So we're going to go opposite this time. We'll go Alexis, Tabitha, Gina. I want to hear, what is the most important business lesson you would want to pass off to someone? It's like, if you got a chance to write this one singular book that was going to be passed on to like millions of people, what is the lesson you would want to pass on?
This honestly just goes along with the fact that I was late for this. So it's just like perfect. Is like, and I talk about this a lot, is like, stop trying to fit into a box when you become a coach. I see this so often. Somebody gets that life coach certification, or they get that coach next to their name, and all of a sudden on social media, they become this like, I am a coach and I'm going to help you. It's going to be great. And it's like, do you talk to your friends like that? No, absolutely not. And so it's like, whatever you think a coach should be, like if you come check me out on social media, I am very much not like the average coach person. And I have a lot of people who come to me and say they like want to work with me because of that. And so whatever weird alien raw version of you that you are, like that's always going to attract your people, and it's going to feel much more encouraging. It is so exhausting to fit into a box that like you think will work. And when you get to be that real, like I always tell my clients, like however you talk to your best friend on FaceTime, that's how you should be talking to camera on your story, on your feed. And when you can do that, you have so much more fun with business, and it becomes a more unique version. Because like when people say the market is saturated, and I love talking about this because I feel like it always like a little light bulb moment for people. This is like a side off tangent, but when people are like the market is saturated, like yes, there are a lot of coaches, but one, you are all in the world of coaches. That's just what your explore page is going to be. Nobody says the market's saturated when they think about doctors. People are still going to medical school. Do you know how many doctors there are? Nobody says that with law school. Do you know how many lawyers there are? There's not even enough coaches to coach enough people in terms of that. So like, but what I mean by that is like, yes, there are, more coaches now than there were 5 years ago, right? But if you want to stand out in the white noise of social media, being that version of you, whether you're introverted, like you're going to attract other introverts, whether you are like weird, like I listen to a lot of like electronic music. It's a lot of like other people listen to it. It's like, this is like beep boop robot music. What are you listening to? And like, I still show that, and I don't care, because like my people aren't necessarily going to work with me because I listen to that, but they're like, oh, this girl's like doing her thing and she doesn't care what people think. I want to work with her because I want more of that. So whatever makes you, like throw out the box, please. And like, just show up exactly how you want to show up, and you'll have much more fun in business, and you're going to attract your people. And that's going to be like the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's rad. And if you go to Alexis's page, by the way, you will just see her dancing her face off at festivals like every other day. I'm like, hey Alexis, do you ever come home from festivals? Like, when do you make time for coaching sessions?
I'm going to one today. I'm going to one later today.
I have to plan anything I want to do with Alexis around her like festival calendar. I'm like, hey, we have a virtual coach summit coming up. Do you think I could take a look at that festival calendar of yours and see if you're available? And it's awesome. I love it. And by the way, don't let me forget, at the end of this, one of the three of you, whoever's the most organized, I'm going to bet my money on Gina being the organized one here, because Tabitha and Alexis are such free spirits. This is all going on my podcast as well, where we get, several thousands of downloads per week. Don't let me forget to make sure we give all of your Instagram handles like at the end. We'll also put it in the show notes, but I just want to make sure people know exactly how to find all of you guys. Tabitha, one lesson that you get to pass off to the entire world. What is that lesson?
I think it really comes back to your why. Why are you doing this? Why is it important to you? Why is it going to help somebody else? And I think finding that why and letting it connect to your heart and soul, and making sure it's connected to your heart and soul. And I think that's a beautiful, long-lasting, healthy business strategy, because when we force things and it doesn't feel in alignment with ourselves, we tend to chase what everyone else is chasing. But when you can come back home, come back to yourself, you're always going to stay true to yourself, and it's never going to feel forced. It's never going to feel icky. And I've done that forced thing. I've showed up and I've tried to do the things that I'm supposed to be doing. And it almost got to the point where it paralyzed me. It paralyzed me and it made me feel stuck. And I really believe because it wasn't in alignment with who I am and what my energetics are, because we each have our own energy type. And I think that just really coming back and being passionate and purposeful through your why. Why am I doing this? And for me, it's in my heart and soul. Like, I can't deny it. I can't turn away from it. It's just part of who I am naturally. And when you can find that, you have a healthy business strategy.
Love that, friend. I love that. Gina, no pressure, but you're last, so it better be good. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You get to give one lesson to the world.
Let me close it out. All right, let's see. Let's see what I can come up with real fast. I think more than anything, I've had to learn to stop looking at what everybody else is doing. It kind of goes with exactly what these two awesome ladies are saying. Stop consuming so much, because it will put you into such a deep spiral of scarcity, and then you don't know who you are or what your voice is anymore. Stop looking backwards. Stop looking at the things that you don't have that she might have or he might have. It's so easy to do that, and start learning to trust yourself again. Quit ignoring yourself and quit listening to all the other voices, like Alexis was saying, and listen to your heart instead, and trust that you really were given this purpose for a reason. Yeah, you're going to mess up. You're going to fail. That's okay. We all do. It's just part of the process of growing into who you were meant to be. But yeah, just block out the noise and start listening to your head. No, sorry, your heart. I almost messed it up, Josh. Stop listening to all that crap in your head and start learning to trust yourself again, and listen to your heart voice like you teach us.
Love that. I love that, friend. I love that. And one of the things that I always tell people, I always feel like this is like so contradictory to what most people say. I actually don't read a lot of books. I find a book that speaks to my soul and I read it 30 times. And that is, for me personally, for someone else might be something totally different. But one of the reasons I do that is because I've learned there's really only so many things in a season of my life I can even learn. And my goal is not to outlearn everyone else as far as like a list of things. My goal is to find kind of like the whole in my personal growth or business in this season. Say, I'm literally going to attack that until this thing becomes like a part of me. So like right now, for instance, I'm listening to Relentless, and I don't recommend Relentless for everybody. It's a very masculine energy, competitive. He was the trainer for Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. So for me personally, having a sports background and being a competitive person, I had a lot of personal stuff going on this year with my mother-in-law, and I don't really talk about this on social media, but my wife is basically full-time caretaker for my mother-in-law now. So she's gone 9 to 10 hours a day, doesn't get home till 7 o'clock at night. And in the first couple of months, guys, it like fucked me up. It's just like I felt like my whole world had just completely changed overnight. And so I didn't need like 22 business strategies. I needed something to help me like tap into the masculine energy, because it felt like such an emotional season. And I'm very big into masculine and feminine. And if you only have one or the other, you can kind of go off the deep end, like in, one or the other. So I'm very big on having them both, but there's so much feminine energy in me kind of having to like be the mom in the house and like having to like take care of my kids. Like once I put on my business hat, I just needed someone to kind of like breathe fire into my face. And so I just started listening to this book over and over. And I'm on like my 15th listen at this point. And I'm not like, okay, I need to go learn something new. And I'm like, no, like I'm like, this is becoming a part of me. And I do the same thing with business stuff. Like I have one mentor that I hire to work with on business strategy. And I kind of just ignore all the other strategies out there. Now, I don't pick a mentor because they say they're the right person. I pick a mentor based on what I feel I'm needing. So I had a mentor for a couple of years. He was very energetic, very charismatic, like I was. And I loved being around him, but I didn't feel like I was actually really learning anything because he was just like also good at what I'm good at. So I like actually hired someone that's like a lot different than me. He's like way more organized than me. He's like way more structured than me. And then I have to remind myself, I'm never going to be as organized as that dude. And I don't even want to be as organized as that dude. Like, I don't even want to. Like, if he's a 10 out of 10 and I'm a 1 out of 10, I just want to become like a 3 or 4 out of 10 because honestly, organization is never going to be my thing. Like, never. I wouldn't even enjoy life anymore. But it's like, you don't need to learn everything from everyone. Okay. What you do need to do is feed your soul. So like, that's one of the things I remind people of is like, hey, every call that you get on, instead of thinking, how do I copy and paste what they're telling me to do? Instead, it's like, how do I collect the energy into my soul from this human? Because I don't know if you guys noticed, but Gina and Tabitha and Alexis, they gave a lot of energy to you today. They gave a lot of hope to you today. They gave a lot of strength. And you can always pull on that, even if the specific strategy was not exactly what you needed. Even if it's like, well, Gina did Pinterest. That does not mean everyone needs to go do Pinterest today. But maybe someone on here does. Like, maybe there is a person on here that's like, Pinterest, I spend 10 hours a day there. Why am I not building a business there if I'm already there 10 hours a day? Right. But like, regardless of what it is, it's about collecting the energy and seeing. I just love to see all of the different shapes and colors and flavors of business. It's one of the reasons I love music so much. Like, give me like 32 different genres. There's this dude from Tulsa who plays like super old school, like early Eric Clapton style blues. And I just put that shit on and just jam to it. And my soul just like collects the energy. And I didn't need to like learn something from that. I didn't need to like go home and be like, cool, now I'm going to learn how to play blues guitar. Like, as a musician, I just collect and then I let it come out of me as its own voice. And I actually think that's one of the best analogies for business is you listen to lots of stuff, not because you're going to become a cover band and go copy that person's song, but because you're just collecting so much energy and flavor that when you go to do your business, it's a brand new expression that comes out as your own flavor. So thank you so much, friends, for being on today. We're going to have a kind of a lunch break, if you will. I'm going to go cook my 6 eggs. And that's what I have for lunch every single day. I don't want to fix anything else. I'm like, this is easy. I can do it in 2 minutes, and then I can go chill for like 30 minutes, rest my brain. We're going to be back at 1 p.m. Central with some of my master coaches from my life coach program. It's going to be so awesome. We're going to dive into some psychology stuff, some mindset stuff. We might do a little bit of like live coaching. So show up for that. But also, make sure you go follow Alexis on Instagram. She is the Tough Love Coach. Make sure you follow Tabitha. She is Tabitha Carnes. Last name is spelled C-A-R-N-S. And then make sure you follow Gina. You put it up here somewhere. Where'd it go, Gina? Oh, below. Gina Golden. And Gina is J-E-N-A Golden. Keep it golden. And if you're listening to the podcast, we'll have all of that in the show notes, so you can go give them a follow. Also, a reminder for those of you who gave us permission on the opt-in form to share your information with the speakers. When this whole thing is over, we'll be passing off your emails to them. So be watching for free goodies and bonuses from all of the speakers who choose to participate, which I'm assuming these 3 will all participate because they have that stuff just like loaded and ready to go. Okay. Alexis, Tabitha, Gina, thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your love. I appreciate you. For the rest of you, I will see you in just a few hours. Bye, friends.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
The recording has stopped.